What if I told you there was a government run place where thousands of children, mostly girls, were left to starve, tied down, and completely forgotten? In 1990s China, countless infants and toddlers were abandoned in state run welfare institutions. One baby, known only as Mei Ming, meaning no name, was so weak she couldn't even cry. When British filmmakers returned weeks later, officials claimed that Mei Ming had never even existed. This is the hidden tragedy revealed by two groundbreaking documentaries exposing the brutal reality behind China's one child policy. These weren't typical orphanages, they were overcrowded warehouses for unwanted children, mostly girls and those with disabilities. Infants were tied to cribs, toddlers strapped to wooden chairs, and left unattended for days. British filmmakers Kate Blewett and Brian Woods described cribs with rusted bars and urine soaked sheets. Children lay motionless, not sleeping, but too weak from starvation and neglect to even cry. One infant, Mei Ming, was shown on camera with her ribs protruding under her skin that was translucent. But when the filmmakers returned, the staff had erased all traces of Mei Ming. In 1979, China introduced the one child policy, strictly limiting families to only one child, in response to fears of overpopulation and economic strain. Violations of this policy led to harsh penalties, including steep fines, loss of employment, and even going as far as forcing abortions and mandating sterilizations. This policy disproportionately impacted rural families who traditionally preferred sons for carrying on family names and inheriting property. Daughters were viewed as burdens, due to dowry expectations and fewer economic opportunities. Faced with this policy, countless baby girls were abandoned shortly after birth, often secretly left at orphanages or in public places, resulting in severe overcrowding and neglect. Additionally, babies with even minor disabilities or health issues were quickly labeled unadoptable and intentionally left untreated, some even being abandoned to perish quietly out of public view. In some cases, parents were deceitfully informed that their infants had died at birth, all while their children were secretly being placed into welfare institutions without any oversight or transparency. In 1995, filmmakers Blewett and Woods secretly filmed several welfare institutions, revealing appalling conditions. Their documentary, The Dying Rooms, captured haunting footage of infants bound to filthy cribs, toddlers restrained to chairs in isolated rooms, and pervasive silence indicative of extreme neglect. A particularly notorious orphanage in Guangxi province omitted over 400 girls within a year. Fewer than 20 survived by the filmmaker's visit. Dr. Zhang Shuyin courageously exposed an internal practice called summary resolution, in which care, food, and medical treatment were intentionally withheld from children deemed unwanted or undesirable. The dying rooms themselves were stark, isolated cells where children were left deliberately untreated and expected to die quietly, without intervention. Staff, burdened by quotas and limited resources, were pressured to prioritize paperwork over saving lives, creating an environment where neglect was systematically normalized. The following year, in 1996, Blewett and Woods released Return to the Dying Rooms, a follow-up investigation. This sequel exposed continued systematic abuse, uncovering further evidence through leaked government memos and whistleblower testimonies. Detailed autopsy reports obtained by the filmmakers confirmed deaths from deliberate neglect, primarily starvation, dehydration, and untreated illnesses. Whistleblowers provided photographs and internal documents, explicitly detailing government efforts to falsify death records and conceal widespread institutional failures. Despite China's aggressive denial, Return to the Dying Rooms unequivocally demonstrated ongoing national-wide neglect, forcing the international community to acknowledge the scale of this crisis. The global broadcast of both documentaries sparked widespread outrage and demands for accountability from international leaders and organizations. In the United States, the footage aired on The Oprah Winfrey Show, with Oprah labeling it the most disturbing thing she had ever seen. China aggressively dismissed both documentaries and fabricated propaganda intended to undermine its government. Nonetheless, overwhelming evidence led UNICEF in 1997 to publicly condemn China's orphanage system, officially recognizing systematic neglect and abuse within the institutions. In response to the mounting pressure, China closed or restructured certain orphanages. However, independent reports indicated ongoing abuses hidden behind closed doors. While thousands died, many children survived through international adoption, However, these survivors often carried profound psychological scars. Medical professionals observed adopted Chinese orphans frequently and noted that they suffered panic attacks, severe attachment disorders, and intense aversion to physical touch. These symptoms stemmed from prolonged sensory deprivation and isolation during critical development periods. More devastating than neglect alone, adult survivors described long life trauma and persistent difficulties trusting and forming healthy relationships. Determining the exact death toll is impossible due to systematically falsified or destroyed records. However, leaked internal reports indicated alarmingly high mortality rates, including Shanghai's number 2 orphanage, where 75% of admitted children died just before the age of 3. Deaths were overwhelmingly attributed to international neglect, starvation, dehydration, and untreated infections, rather than natural causes. China continues to deny the allegations, despite irrefutable documentary evidence and survivor testimonies exposing the widespread systematic neglect. Hello everyone. As always, if you made it to the end, thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. If you happen to be new around here, welcome and I hope you enjoyed as well. I try to post new videos every Friday around 6 p.m. EST. Now I know it's been about 2 weeks since I posted my last video, and I do apologize for that. I had some relatives in town, but I can assure you that we are back up and running. If you enjoyed today's topic or video, please like, comment, and maybe even consider subscribing. It really helps boost these videos, and it gets it out there and in front of more people. Any feedback or recommendations, leave them in the comments below and I'll get to them there. If you want to watch another video similar to this, check out my other video on the Romanian orphanage system that I did a few weeks ago. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for all the support recently, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.